Hey. This is Shit Show, awful stories told by not awful musicians and music industry professionals about the shitty situations they get into.
What's going on, everybody? This is Nate and Eric. It is good to be with you on episode 1. We are trying to get all of our ducks in a row to make sure that we actually have something that people would enjoy. That seems to be the hardest thing about playing music or doing anything in the music industry is actually just getting your shit together.
For sure. I totally agree. We are both in, we play in a two-piece heavy rock band from Colorado, and we have a very heavy, relentless tour schedule, and we figured we hear all these crazy stories from musicians and tour managers and roadies and stuff from the road about crazy stuff that happens to them, and we feel like we're the only people that know this kind of stuff. So we wanted to share that insider information with the public because we think these are the craziest and most hilarious stories ever.
How many years would you say we've actually been like heavy touring?
Probably since about 2014, maybe.
I think that's probably accurate.
So about 5 years.
Yeah, I think because of our relentless schedule, we've been really lucky to be so close to so many big, great musicians who have just the best stories. So today we're going to be talking to Randy Randall, who is the guitar player, pedal god of the band No Age. I mean, who is No Age?
So No Age is a very, very influential underground sort of indie noise rock band from the mid-2000s.
Yeah, I think they're signed to
Sub Pop Records.
Sub Pop.
That's right.
Super cool band.
Yeah.
When I first met him, he's the most humble, sweet human being you've ever met. Really into weird gear, I would have to say, like antiquated gear, like a tape machine that he loops kind of sounds on, and then he'll have a foot switch that triggers it halfway in the middle of a song. And they're also a two-piece, so it's very like cool that we were able to pick his brain and kind of get a understanding of how they work. Yeah.
We met Randy and Dean, his musical partner, many years ago when we had a little relationship with Red Bull, and Red Bull allowed us to come into their studio and record a couple songs. And they commissioned the guys in No Age to help produce those songs. And it was a really great time. The studio was ridiculous. And Randy's a great producer.
Yeah.
Dean's a great producer. So this conversation actually happened way back in 2015. Nate has had this idea for this podcast for a long time. We're finally getting our shit together.
Yeah. That's
like you said.
It's all about just trying to get your ducks in a row. It takes forever. And because we are traveling and touring so crazy, haven't had the time to really do this.
Yeah, and this opportunity sort of popped up, so we said, let's get on it. Let's get our shit together. So a few of these episodes you're going to hear are going to be just Nate because, again, Nate had the idea a long time ago and recorded a few episodes. So this is from way back in 2015 when we were little babies.
And I want to apologize at the beginning of this, episode 1. 2015, my phone recording situation was not the best. So you're going to hear some of the roughest things you've ever heard. And we get interrupted a lot. Like I did the interview with Chris Ballou from Presidents of the United States of America. And no joke, halfway through it, a fan broke into our van while we're interviewing, and he stopped the whole thing to make sure they got all of their stuff signed. It was crazy. There's a lot of weird stuff that you're not going to hear anywhere else.
It's raw, guys. It's fucking raw.
All right, let's do this. Let's hit the music. I want to talk to bands that have toured a lot and the people that have actually been out doing stuff. Mm-hmm. Because when you do that, when you're interacting with people all over the United States, you're going to be dealing with some really shitty situations and like things that are it wouldn't be normal, you know?
Right.
So
for me, I would love to talk to you. Is there anything in your mind that pops up that like we showed up to the show, the promoter locked us out of the venue because he didn't trust us, or just like anything weird that like it's just been like this is shitty.
So I was trying to think of like worst show experiences. There's one that stands out, but it has like a funny silver lining to it all. So we played. This is probably 2007. We played this kind of strange Polish nightclub in Brooklyn. I think in Greenpoint.
Were you on tour at this time?
I think we had just flown in for this show. Early on, we figured out a good way to kind of to live in LA, but just to find cheap tickets and fly to New York, you know, once a month or like
smart.
every couple months, you know, just go and play just a show that wouldn't normally pay a lot, but because we're just two people, you know, as you know, it's a little bit easier to do that, and you can kind of cover flights rather than renting a van or paying for gas to go across country. You're like, wait, for the same, it's cheaper for us just to fly there and play a club gig. Right. So this was kind of one of those things, and we were playing with our friends Black Dice. Okay. We're a real kind of noisy band. It's a 3-piece kind of experimental noise sort of thing. But this, for whatever reason, they were the headliners, and they were playing this Polish kind of nightclub, disco nightclub sort of thing with a big PA, you know, with subs and, you know, like a
nice dance floors in there, and there's like a real long fancy bar for some reason.
Yeah, it was a fancy place, and we didn't, you know, we were, I think, middle. I don't think we were first on. I think we were somewhere in the middle, and then they went on. Okay, and this was early on, and we didn't really get to sound check, and at that point we were kind of still figuring out what all of our gear situations were, you know, we were borrowing drum kits and, you know, just have to piece together something and borrowing amps.
It's 2007. You're 2 years into it. You're still figuring out the kinks and everything.
And even on the tech side, like I had this, you know, we always were triggering samples in kind of that experimental music kind of way. It was self-recorded loops and things we would do, but I had this really old sampler that took zip discs. Which was very kind of buggy. Do
you still have it?
I have two of them in there. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. We could take a picture of it here.
Okay.
So I was playing this old Roland SP808 sampler with a 4-track kind of recorder in there, but it records to zip discs. And so I bring this whole thing on tour.
Where does the zip disc go? Oh my gosh! It's a whole drive in the front of this thing.
And I've worked on these. You can buy them on eBay.
Can you even buy zip discs anymore?
No, I don't think in this day and age. You may be able to find like old stock somewhere, but they were tough, especially in 2007. I don't use this anymore. But this is a beautiful thing. This is a great machine. If it worked, and there were better updates of it. It was kind of Roland's version of the MPC.
So you would use it as a loop station then? Like just with audio sounds and then pushing back?
There was a foot switch on here that you could kind of trigger
a pad.
There's MIDI stuff, but I never knew how to do that. There's just this like, you know, TRS, you know, foot switch thing.
Roland, wow.
Yeah, so I would take this with me. I'd throw this in my suitcase, this big hunking kind of sampler. And anyway, so I had this. Dean had a borrowed drum kit. The amps were all borrowed. And we're opening up for Black Dice. And nothing's working. There was no real sound check. So this, I have this big sampler that doesn't, you know, it would just get buggy. You know, we flew with it in my in a suitcase and you know, with
clothes packed over it.
Yeah. There's no sound check, and so I'm trying to trigger stuff, and it's not where it's triggering the wrong things. They're just not going at all, and it's just having a malfunction, as zip disk technology is known to do.
Right.
And we can't hear anything in the monitors, and you don't really know, the amps aren't really working, and we'd start a song, and maybe, you know, 30 seconds to a minute in, it's just like, what do we do? Like, I can't hear him, he can't hear me.
Really?
Yeah, and so it kind of devolved into this just like, and it was appropriate, I think, only because the Black Dice is this kind of cacophonous noise band. They were sort of known early on. They came out of Providence, Rhode Island, and were part of that same kind of RISD crew with like Lightning Bolt. Okay, and they started as a very like violent sort of noise band where like you know, Eric would like pick up the drums and throw them across the room, and it was just very like intense. You know,
are they still around?
They are. They've kind of matured into sort of elder statesmen of a noise sort of scene, and they're still heavily active and still do a lot of stuff. But they're and we knew about their kind of early days, and we were big fans of theirs and friends, you know, and so it just was going so badly. I think like Dean just ended up kicking over the drum kit. I just kind of threw the guitar, and it wasn't, you know, it wasn't really.
It was just frustration.
So we would figure like, okay, well, better to be in the moment rather than try to play it off. And I think we were young and unprofessional to a degree of not really knowing how to interact with anybody.
Right.
You know? But we felt the energy and we understood that things were going badly. So rather than fighting against that, you know, for the whole show and just being like, try to play it off like we're cool, like, no, this whole thing has gone to shit.
This is just all fucked.
There's no
over.
point in trying to even play a song because it's never going to turn out right.
How many songs did you get in before it just devolved into chaos?
We were maybe like, you know, 3 or 4 aborted sort of song ideas. Like we started it and it just was never going anywhere. And we were new to the degree that we didn't, you know, there's when you start playing, it's a lot to figure out who you are as a band and what it is you're trying to accomplish, and then to try to take that on the road and translate that on to different stages in a different room. And I think so much about what we were trying to do was the energy of it, you know. And well,
you were so fresh too. It's like, and you were out of your element.
Yeah,
you're in a place that, I mean, you probably had been there before.
No, never been to that space before. So, and we're really used to even nightclubs. You know, we were playing, like I said, like warehouses and basements and art galleries. Right. And, you know, we were playing kind of grimier stuff, but that has its own sort of like built-in sort of, this thing can all, nobody knows what they're doing, so we're all fine. So you don't feel out of place when stuff's just breaking or going weird. So to us, that was more comfortable feeling. But the fact that we were in such a pristine, nice entertainment nightclub with like, you know, chandeliers and like glittery.
I hate those places. Yeah. Those places exist everywhere.
Totally, yeah. So the whole thing went really badly, but we were frustrated, but artistically, I think, satisfied in our honesty on stage.
Right.
You know, I think it was more to us, you know, just being who we are. You know, I think that's so much of what it is to be on stage or to be an artist or a musician is the honesty. You know what I mean? I think like you can work so hard at something, but if you don't feel honest on stage, it's almost then it's you're acting or something. Or there's a certain level of just like it's fake, and I think that the audience smells it, you smell it, you feel bad or something. So just for us, it was like, well, at least we were honest. At least we were there in the moment, and we just expressed whatever that moment was. And so the idea was it went pretty badly.
Yeah. Then what did people react to it? Or?
Well, here's the silver lining to it all is that at this point we had known that there were labels out there sort of interested in us, and I think there was an added pressure of like, hey man, you know, like so and so from a label is going to come see you guys. We're getting those kind of talks, and you're just like, don't tell me that.
Yeah,
I don't want to know that.
Yeah, don't tell me this.
You know, either they like us or they don't, but don't load it up beforehand that like some label is going to check you out. It's just like, I don't need to know that because I can't.
It's added stress.
I can't be any different. You know, I'm going to do the best job I can regardless of who's there. So why do I need to know there's a label there like that? Like this one thing could influence whatever happens next. But anyway, so that night we knew that somebody from Sub Pop was there to see us, and it was somebody we had met before. But
cool.
But she was bringing the president, you know, of Sub Pop, you know, like the owner, like Jonathan Poman, and we're just like, this is no way this is good. Like that was a funny idea. Remember when Sub Pop tried to come see us play a show and it went terrible?
Remember that time?
Yeah. Remember that, like
it'll be a funny little bookmark on your career.
Yeah, and so I don't think it was the pressure that got to us, but I think it was just the added sort of like absurdity of the situation for us. Like one, we're in New York, which is just always, you know, glamorous, even if it's deep.
Yeah,
you know, Greenpoint.
It's one of the most savage cities to get in and out of. It's like hard to load in. Yeah. It's hard to do everything. So.
But I think to us there was a romanticism of it. Like being from California, it's like, whoa, we're playing a show in New York City. Like, you know, like wow, like whatever. Even though it's Greenpoint, Brooklyn in 2007, which is I think now those are $1 million properties. For whatever,
really?
But then it was still just kind of the warehouse district with a weird Polish nightclub. So we just thought like, okay, but we were excited about the whole idea of it, and then it just went so badly, and on top of that, we knew Sub Pop was there. It was like, okay, well,
oh man,
that was a funny idea, and so after Black Dice played, our friend who we didn't really know that well at that point, but she was like, hey, do you guys want to come over next door and grab a drink with Jonathan, with you know the owner? And we're just like, Why?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like we've already
insult to injury. What are you doing? We just did really bad.
Yeah. I was like, is there any real point in this? And she's like, well, come on, just just come over. I'm like, okay. And the show was over, and so we went over there, and we kind of sat down, like we were all just gonna kind of have a big laugh, like, wow.
Remember that time?
Well, thanks for coming out, guys. It's great to meet you, and just we'll never see you again. Yeah, thanks, but we'll sit here and laugh about it, because at that point it was just, I think, so absurd. It just felt like couldn't go any worse. Couldn't be a bigger moment for us for things to go. If things went right, we got cool. We're going to be able to be on this label, and But obviously it didn't go right. So I think we weren't even nervous because we were just so...
You already accepted your fate.
It was comical. It was so comical how badly the show went and how high the stakes were on this other thing. So we're just like, oh, well, that's never... We might as well just lean into it and just laugh and have a good laugh about it. Maybe we'll see those guys sometime, or maybe we'll never see them again. And it turned out, as we're talking to Jonathan, we're just kind of giggling about it and like, let's see what they say. And he turned out to be like, he's, obviously he went, that was amazing.
What?
We're like, what? Are you kidding me? It's like, no. And we're like, it's not how we normally play. You haven't seen us before, but it was a little unusual. There were some issues. He's like, oh yeah, no shit. Yeah, there were definitely issues. Like, he's like, but what he said was, he's like, I loved how you guys went with it. You know what I mean? That you weren't trying to be fake and that it wasn't a perfect thing. He's like, I really got to see who you were as people on stage and how you handle the worst situation says a lot about you as a band and a lot about you as people. And we were just like, what? Like, that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But he's like, you know what? He's like, you guys, it was exciting and weird and fucked up and I really liked it.
Whoa.
Well, and we were just like, well, you got to see a show. Like, you got to see us actually play songs. And he's like, oh, yeah. It was like, well, I'll see you guys again. He's like, but, he's like, that was amazing. And I think for him, and then he kind of brought up, and not that it had anything to do with us, but he just kind of talked about some of those earlier Seattle days. Oh, yeah. A lot of those bands, these grunge superheroes were like, you know what I mean? When they were just starting out, there was a lot of stuff that didn't go well. And there was a lot of bad nights. But these people, but there was a lot of that kind of, I think what he was trying to say is there was a lot of energy that he saw with, bands starting out. And I think at that point, 2007, Sub Pop had a lot of really clean, sort of nice postal service sort of bands.
Right.
The bands were really, you know what I mean? It was really polite and
getting back to the roots, though. A little bit.
So
of that
I think there was
rawness.
something about the energy that we had and sort of the cacophony of it all that he sort of enjoyed and felt to him. Reminded him. I have no idea because I never saw any of that stuff. You know what I mean? But to him, he kind of was like, yeah, that was exciting. That reminded him of those earlier sort of days of like new bands from Seattle. Just
maybe it was like the perfect moment that you just imploded in a way and just fell apart.
Yeah.
How different would it be if this shit show didn't happen?
Who knows? Exactly. Yeah.
If it wasn't just like everything is broken and nothing's working and I can't hear anybody.
Yeah.
If it was so like perfect and clean, maybe he would have been like,
I've seen that. We have perfect and clean. We got plenty of those things. I'm looking for something maybe different that I hadn't seen before. So it ended up being probably one of the worst shows technically we've ever played, but one of the best experiences in our overall sort of life. That it led us to eventually signing to Sub Pop and putting out 3 records and doing stuff. So so that's a little bittersweet. I know you want to talk.
Yeah, no, that's great.
We could definitely talk shit about venues. I've seen plenty of dicks on backstage walls, and you know what I mean.
Every single venue I think throughout everywhere I've seen has a dick everywhere. Yeah. Even in Europe.
And the cliche, I'm sure this will get said a lot on this podcast. If you can't draw a crowd, draw a dick.
Yeah. I've never heard that, but
okay.
If you can't draw a crowd, draw a dick.
Yeah. That's sort of the idea. Like most people that are selling out the venue aren't the ones backstage drawing, dick jizzing on a giant,
whatever
Satan,
skull or like
you don't have enough time to do that when you're actually busy playing and have or you know what I mean? If you're touring all the time, you gotta sound check, go grab some food, come back real quick, watch the openers, go. You know what I mean? You're busy, you got stuff to do. But if you're sitting back there with nothing to do and you never really play shows, like
drawing a dick.
How many veins can we get on this throbbing cock, and how much hair can we put on the ball? You know what I mean? The most detailed backstage drawings are done by very frustrated people. And I'm not saying I'm above drawing a penis on. I'm not saying I never did that. I've had my moments, but I think the general idea is that it's a bummer, but you're only there for one night, and then you're in another room another night, and it's a different kind of cadre of penises and fucked up things. But
so I love that phrase though. If you can't draw a crowd, you draw a dick.
Our sound guy Scott Cornish heard that one. So
really?
He'd pass that on to us, so I'll give him credit.
That is great.
But yeah, we've had a lot of those kind of venues. But I think the shows themselves, at a certain point, the show's up to you. No matter what the venue is, no matter how bad the thing is, that 30 to 40 minutes you have on stage, it's up to you, and the audience doesn't give a shit. They don't know really about the venue. What I've learned over the years, it's like, people showed up to have a good time, and they want to see what you got. And so it's, you know what I mean? I think,
and even seeing you, like, having the worst set ever, they at least got entertained and, like, got a little taste of what could happen. And being real, like you said.
But complaining
that's a show in itself.
But complaining about monitors, and it's like, they didn't come there to see that. And really, you on stage having a meltdown about the lighting guy using too much smoke or this or that. It's like nobody else notices it. You know what I mean? You may not like it on stage. You may like I use a lot of pedals, and a lot of them have red lights. So on stage,
you can't see.
The guy will put a red light on there. I'm just like, well, I got no idea what's going on down here now.
I don't know what's on.
I don't know what's on, what's off, or no light. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're just like, well, now I really can't see. So, but again, me getting on mic and yelling, hey, I said no red lights, no brown M&Ms. You know what I mean?
No one cares.
There's no way to pull that off without sounding like a total asshole. So
it's true.
I've kind of learned over the years that it's like the venue's just there. You know what I mean? As long as they open up and close and you get paid, it's that's about all you can ask.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I don't. Do you guys ever do the disco loadout?
Oh, were you going to go and they're going to flip the room and have like a DJ?
Yeah,
we do that all the time now.
That's not a newer thing, but that's something that I've kind of found that like has nothing to do with the show necessarily itself, but just the overall life experience of a touring band. Like
it's terrible.
The second you end, the disco ball goes on, and the room maybe not that crowded when you're playing, and then they let in a whole other crowd, and the DJ sets up right in front of you while you're
trying to get your stuff wrapped up cable wise. You have like less than 15 minutes to move a full drum set.
I think
amps
less than that. I mean,
sometimes,
I've had 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Like the second we're done, the DJ booth goes on,
right,
and the crowd fills up, and then you got to part a dance crowd with your like train of gear to try to get out, and nobody.
It's the worst experience. It's the worst experience I've ever had in my life.
Yeah,
it happens all the time now.
Yeah. That's the tough one. I think that's one, and it's not necessarily that the show's good or bad, but just the life experience of being a touring musician. Nobody really knows that. Just the trouble of the disco loadout. So a lot of times, if I see we're in these kind of nightclub-ish sort of places, like and there's usually a long line of guys all there kind of, snarking at you as you load in.
Right.
Like, try to befriend them and like, hey, what's the vibe here? What's curfew? What's going on? What's happening after us? We're the headliners, but there's
they're flipping the room.
There's going to be something else here, right? Like I kind of let them.
That is a shit show in itself.
And so, and if you know that, there's really no way to prepare it, but you just have to, at least you're not caught off guard. Yeah. When you're sweaty and dead from playing a show, and then it's like, cool.
Guess what?
You have 30 seconds to get all your shit off the stage through this huge dance floor where nobody's paying attention to you, and they're just going to bump into your stuff.
Do you love the one door guy that's a total asshole? All of a sudden, just get out.
Oh yeah,
we need you out of here now.
Yeah,
because the money's coming in now. It's like that. God, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You saw what I just did, man.
It doesn't matter.
I just thrashed for 45 minutes, and they don't care.
No, they don't care. It's not about you. And I think that's and that's sort of what I think. When I speak of these sort of black boxes or these nightclubs, it's you can tell they don't give a shit, and when you're going in, like, this is not about music. This is not. This is. There's so much money spent on the decorations and the light system and the.
You don't care about what's coming in.
You know what I mean? It's not about the music. It's about selling booze, because you can see booze paid for this place. This is what I mean. This is the high profit margin of alcohol. You know what I mean? You spend whatever it costs you 35 cents for the beer, and you sell it for $5,
$10,
$15. You know what I mean? So your markup is which is you get it. I understand. But having a band on stage is the least of their interests. So I think those are the kind of things are just. But again, it's not like you have to do it. There's always another option. You know what I mean? Maybe those places are going to be able to give you a couple grand guarantee, and you go, well, hey, that's pretty good. But then, because
the headache of what you have to deal with is like, well, does it outweigh the money that we're making?
And a quick Facebook search usually of like any venue or any kind of town, like, hey, we got this offer to go play with whatever, Joe's nightclub. And it's like, what's the DIY spot? You know what I mean? It doesn't take long to find out. Is there a batting cages that do shows? You know what I mean? Or is there like a weird mini golf course? Is there a kid's basement? Is there, I don't know. We've played so many awesome weird DIY venues for maybe not as much money as we would have gotten at these other places, but the overall experience of the night.
Well, they're there to see a show.
Yeah, and it's fun.
That's what it's set up. I mean, we used to do just house shows all the time.
Of course, yeah.
And those were chaos because there was there's one PA and one microphone that works.
Yeah.
But everyone there is definitely just for music.
Yeah, and they're having fun, and
right.
and I mean, there's a disco loadout to that thing, but somehow you're one of them, or they're one of you. You know,
they're helping you.
You're
all
together in it. Yeah,
they're not just kicking your stuff off the stage and not helping you wrap cables properly.
Right. Even if they're vomiting on your gear while you're loading out, it's still like, hey, we're buddies.
We're in the same thing. Okay.
Yeah. I think that's kind of worth it, and I don't know. I think that's sort of the overall takeaway we've learned is like, it's just. You know, it takes so much to do it and to go out and to play a show that to just not care about the venue or to just brush it off like, well, whatever. Right. You know, it's like the last piece of the puzzle that really makes the whole thing work if you're going to go out and play these shows. And it's nice to at least know where the venue is because you can't always trust that the place with the most money is going to be the best venue or the best show for you. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Especially because, you know, when you're touring, you don't know. You're not from there. You've never been to that city before. So you're like, what is this? But
I mean, that's a perfect example of what we just played Edmonton in this like beautiful venue. Beautiful brand new speakers, great projection, great lights and everything. But no one goes there.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, you have this great place to play. Yeah. It's a nice practice space.
Yeah.
But it's
no
like,
one shows up.
But no one shows up because it's a club on the far outside of town and people go there for like bowling. It's a bowling place as well. Wow. So it's like,
it's hard.
I mean, you being not from there and being a new place, it's like hard to like. I mean, the whole reason about this podcast is like to be like a cautionary tale,
right?
And to tell people about what no one understands. You know, like the loadout. No one, people that aren't musicians don't have a clue what the disco loadout is. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Why did the No Age not talk to me right after the show? Oh, because they were getting their asses handed to them because there's only two of them and they have to load out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know that. And they're assholes. They're not assholes. They have to go and survive. They just drove, 8 hours to get here.
We got to go drive another 8 hours.
And they got to sleep.
The club's rushing us out.
Right.
Yeah.
So people don't understand that. So that's why this podcast is like, oh, well, hey, guess what, asshole?
Yeah.
Learn a little bit about what people like No Age and Randy has to deal with on the regular.
Right. But it reminds me of other stuff, too, though. I'm just thinking, like, I'm sure people have brought up, like, I don't know, maybe they haven't, but some of the better places, I think that some of the better clubs that I've seen have been the clubs that have been run by musicians or like ex-touring musicians, like the Triple Rock Social Club. Have you played there?
No. But the Satellite down in
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
It's amazing.
Isn't it awesome?
Man guy. Yeah, it's perfect with the Airstream trailers and free socks.
Yeah.
You know?
And they have like the washing machine and the dryer. It's like, no one thinks, oh my God, I've been out for 3 weeks. I would like to do laundry that doesn't smell like cigarettes or smoke because if you're in that area, there's bars that have.
That's always it. Yeah.
It's so nice.
So there are a few shining beacons of the clubs that have, but they're mostly run by people that have toured and they sort of get what it is. I remember we played Triple Rock early on, and it was like, well, that kind of thing of like, all right, we're an opener, no one's really coming to see us,
right?
But it was still everybody got a beer. Everybody got a meal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we didn't get paid a lot of money, but but a free meal and a couple beers. It was just, those are those little moments that are just like, I'll be forever grateful.
Oh, yeah.
And it was good food. And and nobody gave us a bad time. Like, yeah, we get it. You're an opener. You're starting out. You know what I mean?
No one's hassling you. Yeah. Just get in, get out, do your thing.
And it looks nice inside. So I think it got me nervous. I was like, oh, this is kind of a nice place. But they were like, no, you're good. Like, there's no stress on you. And like, it's just, it's those little things you do end up appreciating, and no stairs.
Oh, those stairs are savage, especially with two people.
Yeah,
it's like there's perks of being in a 2-person band, but there's also, guess what? Who's loading out?
Yeah,
boom, boom, you and me.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I always take, like I can carry all this stuff. I get it. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't take it if I couldn't carry it. But the stairs after like a month on the road, and you pull up to a place and you're like, cool, it's up 6 flights of stairs,
and then you go down a flight because we built this building back when.
You got to go up and then come down, and then at the end, when you're all dead and sweaty after the show, then you got. I think it's almost harder carrying it down after the show.
Yeah, because you're so tired of just like performing.
Yeah,
people don't understand. Like, oh wait, you just jumped around and like played as hard as you could. For who doesn't matter how many people. And then you're tired.
But then I think there was just something physically about carrying it down. Like now the pressure's on top. So you're more resistant rather than pushing it up. You're just kind of having to like make sure it doesn't topple down on you. Like trying to just not be destroyed by this thing. I feel like that's where like most of the injuries.
I mean, you bring your SVT, don't you?
Yeah, I mean that's that's a 6x10, which
still,
it's
heavy as hell.
Yeah, but it's not an 810. I don't know why adding 2 more 10-inch speakers puts another like 400 pounds.
Well, it makes an extra length.
It's a little bit taller, yeah. So anybody, if you're a bass player and you're tired of the refrigerator 810 cab, like check out the 610. This somehow like that was a life changer.
Sound is still good.
Sounds fantastic.
Good.
And really, if you're playing, venues that have subs, you're DIing anyway. So like for the audience, you almost.
They get the aesthetic of the low end.
Yeah, this is more. I use it more as a monitor on stage. And obviously, I'm playing guitar affected down, but for me, it works perfect because it's just that kind of the low end I need on stage, and then you just hook into their DI system, or through their PA, and everything.
Then they can bump it up.
Then they get everything they need out there. But
yeah.
It's
hard, man.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you were able to talk with me.
Yeah. Did we do it?
I think that's good. It was a great story.
Well, there you have it, everybody. You can check out Randy Randall on his Instagram page at Randy, RANDYS, RANDALL. And you can check out No Age on their Instagram at NOAGELA. Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. We hope you enjoyed what you heard. We have a few more episodes where it's just me recording, around 5 of them. We hope that made you laugh and also brought you some information about
Made you cry.
Things you don't know about.
We're going to continue with all this stuff as much as we can. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at shitshowpod. It's SHITSHOWPOD. Same URL for Facebook, shitshowpod. You can also follow us, the band, INTHEWHALE on Instagram, _the_whale. Follow us on Twitter at INTHEWHALE, Facebook at INTHEWHALE, and check out the band if that's your thing. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll hopefully see you next time.
Bye.